really legitimate point here. I will say, you know, a lot of black men sometimes feel like they're ignored or they're put down, particularly sometimes even by black women in the media. So this is not that. But I do hear Roland's point that felt ignored. But you feel ignored, and then you go over to the other side. The oppressed feel oppressed. So then you go and try to align with the oppressor. So I'm not putting black men down, but sometimes it's like, well, some of you Kevin Samuels following Tariq Nasheed quoting people, please look at the truth and see what's happening and get in line with some of the black women. Is majority, like he said, vote Democrat. But that margin of people who can be plucked away from your people and go advance policies that harm your people, I just don't understand that.
I saw this and I just belly laughed on the inside. Isn't it interesting that somebody could get on national TV and talk as if they're going to say something to help bring the black community together, and yet it creates so much more divide because instead of addressing any points of concern that people have, you just want to gaslight a bunch of people and making them feel as if they're the problem if they decide to deviate from what you deem is necessary for a black person to follow. Telling people to fall in line with something they don't believe in, something they don't trust, something they feel as though was a lie is absolutely stupid. It doesn't create a space where people could feel like they're welcome for having a diverse thought. It's interesting how you want to get on TV and say, I don't want to offend any men. I don't want to talk down on men because they feel as though they're ignored, yet you choose to ignore them and just label them a bunch of Tariq Nasheed followers and Kevin Samuel simps, yet you don't want to address any point that they bring up. It's interesting how you have these types of people that will willingly ignore the situations and the circumstances just so they can look like the big hero that's speaking for all the marginalized groups in the society, when that's absolute BS. And it's funny how people want to jump through hoops to try to justify these types of talking points, yet when it comes time to address the situation that puts somebody in office, nobody wants to criticize the human being who's partly responsible, if not mainly responsible, for a bunch of black people being locked up to begin with. Yet you're all the same people that want to talk about abolishing police and defunding police organizations. How's that working out? Because as soon as y'all start doing that in some of these major cities, crime has gone up. And who is it affecting? All the innocent human beings that are not just black men, not just black women, not just black children, but any other culture that exists. Why? Because you wanted to spend so much time gaslighting a bunch of black people into believing that the cops are hunting you down for your skin color that you chose to ignore the ramifications of taking police out of black communities. You want to sit there and say, oh, poverty is the reason everybody's robbing each other, everybody's killing each other, everybody's just doing crime, yet you don't want to take the steps to address the fact that even when you're singing Kumbaya and you're gaslighting a bunch of people, the crime is still going to happen. Why? Because opportunistic people exist that don't value any of that. They don't have any concerns about any of you. They just want to value themselves and the things that they hold dear, not caring about any black person, man, woman, or child. It's funny how in Jackson, Mississippi, they had some unsanctioned water that they couldn't even use to take a shower, but magically millions of dollars goes to another country, and you for some reason thought black people, the poor people, the marginalized community you keep talking about and keep wanting to explain to everybody else is poor, disenfranchised, and always needs help. Nobody thought millions of dollars could have went to that water system. You thought nobody was going to pay attention to that. You thought nobody was going to see that. You got these BLM people going around saying we must protect black men and black women, yet they are nowhere to be around when it comes to black people taking out other black people. This constant gaslighting that people want to do with the black community and the black people and the white saviors and all the other schmucks that want to fall for that, continue to do it because you're creating this echo chamber where you think you're doing a service to everybody and you're willingly ignoring the actual problems that exist that you don't talk about on mainstream because it doesn't fit your narrative of the weak-minded black person. And the thing that bothers me the most is, yes, I'm a black male, and 24/7, whether if it's TV, whether if it's a movie, whether if it's a TV show, whether if it's social media, for some reason, I'm constantly being told how I'm a victim. I'm constantly being told my thoughts aren't my own. I'm constantly being told, apparently by black women who share the same sentiment as this woman, that I'm siding with my oppressors because I think a certain way about different ideas. Understand something perfectly clear about me. Sexiest black YouTuber to exist. I don't fall in any political landscape. I think all sides of politics have stupid people in them. I would rather everybody come together and solve the issues gradually and peacefully, but because we got people who want to gaslight, but because we got people who want to play in their echo chambers, but because we got people who refuse to talk to individuals who have actual grievances that should be addressed that affect all these poor, marginalized people. You got people in the suits, you got people on TV, you got people who just walk casually in college campuses, in classrooms, and on the sidewalk, spewing a bunch of things that don't affect anybody but the people who have just a little bit more money. And the sad part is none of this is addressed. None of this is talked about. And the more and more it's not, the more people are just going to suffer and have to deal with the fact that they either fall in line or get made fun of because they had an actual point that they wanted to make. And it's disappointing, it's disturbing, it's disgusting, but that's the landscape of what it means to be a part of the black community. You must think like everybody in the bubble. You must think like everybody in the echo chamber. And if you're not, you're a coon, you're a bigot, you're anti-black, you hate black women, you hate disenfranchised, you do all these things. Instead of addressing the point, people just want to gaslight you with a bunch of buzzwords. And I think the most interesting point comes from somebody on Twitter named Nina Turner. This sounds a lot like shut up and dribble in reference to somebody in the mainstream media telling LeBron to shut up and dribble. No group should be told to fall in line. Voting is transactional. The corporatist wings of both parties are failing not only black men, but all working class folks. This system must be challenged. I've traveled this country on 2 separate presidential campaigns and have talked to so many black men who feel the Democratic Party is leaving them behind, telling them to fall in line isn't helpful. They aren't children. And that's what needs to be harped on the most. You're speaking to a bunch of people like they're children and how they did something you didn't like, and you're waving your finger saying, don't do that. That's not going to get people to listen to you and be on your side. That's going to make more people say, fuck you. Listen to what I have to say because you're treating me like a child. I'm not going to fall in line. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say because you're not listening to what I have to say. And there's going to be more of this infighting. I'm sorry, but anybody who saw that first part of this video and thought this is going to bring black men and black women together, it's not. We already got all this pointless infighting between the most trivial shit. Now it's going to start seeping into politics. And now you're going to have people saying, oh, you don't support this black woman who's in politics? Obviously, you hate black women. You don't want to see black women shine. You don't want to see black women prosper, when there's no concerned effort to talk about the policies that black women might bring up. When it's a black man, you don't support that black man? Oh, it's because he's a grifter, he's a coon, he's a Republican, he's a conservative, or he says things I don't like. Where you're seemingly okay with a white woman dressing up in a monkey costume throwing eggs at him, which is perfectly fine because he's not the right type of black. When you're sitting there trying to jump through hoops to justify who gets to be the right type of black, and those who are, let's prop them all up. But those who aren't, they're just a bunch of coons who got to fall in line, and if they don't, we just toss them to the side. How are you going to get people to come together on one concise issue? You got people talking about white privilege here, white racism over there, black on black crime over here, disenfranchised over here, how many people got money over here, reparations up there, and yet in the middle we got all these people just snickering and laughing saying, hey, we got all these niggas just jumping through hoops talking about all this different shit while we just pocketing all the glory. Don't you feel like you're being fucked right now? Don't you feel like all these different people are just trying to divide you and make you feel a certain way about other people, when you should just come together and realize there's a problem that could be easily talked about if people would just check their egos at the door on all sides and talk to one another? I get that people want to get mad when I say that and be like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody that's on that other side. Congratulations, you're an echo chamber. I would rather talk to people who think differently from me and understand them and have them understand me, and not just sit here and say, yeah, you're somebody who thinks different, I don't never want to speak to you again. But because we have people in the media who want to do a great job in dividing everybody and pretending like their side is squeaky clean and nothing's going on, we will never have anything done. And this black community that seemingly now, after P&B Rock got shot and killed, is okay in some aspects with people robbing other black people, just not killing them.
The young brother was supporting black-owned businesses, going to the Roscoe's Chicken with his wife and his kid. And so we get all these deflections of, oh, but his wife posted the chicken. Oh, he's not supposed to wear jewelry. How about we not supposed to kill each other?
Right? What you're saying is absolutely true, and that's how it should be, but that's not the way it is, Joe.
No, we shouldn't kill each other. And so what should happen is, I used to stick people up. I used to rob people. Now, I'm being honest. I'm not trying to front for y'all. I'm not against him robbing them. Caught him, rob him. Why you gotta kill him?
We're never gonna get anything done. The black community is going to continue to be a joke, and the more you promote all this negative shit, the more other races are just gonna laugh at you, which negates everything you keep whining about on these college campuses about being respected based on your skin color. And at the end of the day, a lot of these historical figures that have died and long since been gone would be rolling in their graves looking at how much work they put in to get everybody to be equal, just for a bunch of people to make it all easy to divide us all over again. So subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.